What's up, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another episode of Tuffy Talk. Today we got a great episode for you. We got a graduate of QBU, 9-year veteran of the NFL, and the pride of Westfield High School up in Northern Virginia, Mike Glennon. How you doing today?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this conversation here.
Yeah, we are too. All right, so my first question: this is your first fall without football. What's that like for you?
Yeah, it's the first time in probably over 25 years that I haven't played football in August. So part of me definitely misses it, and there's part of me that enjoys, being at home and missing out on some of those hot summer days. Played in North Carolina, played in Florida, dog days of the summer sometimes, but definitely miss it, but also enjoying kind of a different side of it now. And we'll see what happens come this fall.
I'm sure one thing that doesn't miss it is your body, right? You're probably feeling the best you've felt in quite some time.
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of being kind of a career backup is I haven't taken a ton of hits. I mean, I only played 2 years at NC State and, I don't know, 30, 40 games with regular season and preseason combined in the NFL. So I'm pretty fortunate. Actually, I had my first surgery this past January. Before then, I was got free and body has stayed up pretty well.
Yeah,
that's pretty lucky.
That's pretty lucky. So we'll talk about that. I want to jump into it. You did an interview not too long ago with Jeff Gravely and Tony Haynes, and they talked about jumping into the field. I don't know if you realized when you did that interview, they were talking about me in that interview. I'm the guy that jumped over the fence and broke his leg at the Carolina game. So. But this will be. Oh, it's yeah. Oh, 1,000% was worth it. Yeah, it was awesome. I had my 15 minutes of fame, and it was good. So speaking of that, this will be your it's more stupid, but this will be your first fall to go to Carter Finley as a fan. I know you've been back for some games, as a pro. In fact, I remember a couple of years ago you threw a touchdown pass to Torrey Holt during one of his celebrations. I think it was when he was into the College Football Hall of Fame. But coming back as a true fan, what are your thoughts this year about that?
I'm just looking forward to having just hit on a different experience. I mean, you guys look like you guys have so much fun. I talked about it in that interview. You used to ride down Trinity Road on the buses and see everyone tailgating, playing cornhole, drinking, just having a good time. And I'm looking forward to just doing all that. It's playing is great, and hopefully I'll still get another crack at it, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some aspects of it. But tailgating and just being a fan looks pretty darn fun too. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's pretty epic, and I'll go ahead and give you an open invitation to our tailgate. We have a great tailgate group called Hungry Like the Wolf Pack. We have a good time, so we'll have to have you out there for one.
All right.
So let's talk about your time at State. You came in highly recruited. You had to sit behind old number 16 there for a couple of years. But when you finally got your crack, just talk to us a little bit about that. Just the experience of playing in Carter Finley. Those type of things.
Yeah, it was. I'm just so grateful that I chose to go to NC State. I have no regrets of my decision. It is a great atmosphere to play in. The support of the fan base is one of the best in the country. Obviously we don't have had some of the championships and the winning seasons that a lot of these teams around the country have had, but through thick and thin, NC State fans are always there. They're always going to come out and support the team. And I mean, there's some of the best memories of my life happened in that stadium. So, I loved my time there. Obviously I still live in Raleigh now, and if I didn't have a great experience in college, I don't think I would still be here. So fortunate enough to still be around the program, and it's always still nostalgic to kind of go back and get to relive the glory days.
Yeah, absolutely. And you speak of those glory days, and in your time, you had some great games, like from a fan perspective, like the games that we talk about, 10, 15 years after they've played, and two that come to mind. And I want to ask you which one means more to you. the comeback against Maryland in 2011 or the comeback against Florida State on the Thursday night when they were ranked number 4 in the country?
Yeah, it was definitely the Florida State one because
is it okay?
It still is. It's almost embarrassing that we got down 27 points to Maryland. I mean, that team was terrible. I think they were 2-9 coming into the game.
They were. I didn't want to talk about that aspect of it, but
we
yes,
needed to win to go to a bowl game. Who knows if O'Brien would have got fired if we lost it? I mean, we should have just never been in this situation. But with that being said, I'm grateful it happened because just like you did, I have people come up to me all the time and bring up that game. So it's a great memory and a great story now. But as a competitor and, a football player, it's definitely the Florida State game because they were so talented. And to do it, Saturday night on ESPN, I mean, it was just
Saturday, that's what it was. Yeah.
The ultimate adrenaline rush, probably about the adrenaline rush you had when you jumped out onto that field that was short-lived before you broke your leg. That adrenaline rush you felt was this. I just don't think I've ever had more of one. It was the throwing that touchdown at the end and just the moments after it. Whereas, I still get chills thinking about it. It was just an incredible feeling, and the whole crowd. I just remember them playing that. What is it? T-Pain, that everybody hands go up and they stay down, and like the whole place was just rocking. And on top of that, we had a bye week the next week, so we got to enjoy the win all night long.
Yeah,
drink a few beverages, and it was a good night. As I'm sure the rest of the Wolfpack Nation probably had a good night after that, celebrating as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, did you have something?
Definitely. Yeah. That's definitely one of my favorite memories growing up as a fan. I mean, I think I was 2012, so I was probably a junior in high school. But I wanted to ask you about that last drive because I think it was 3 fourth down conversions. Going into that drive, were you just in the zone and knew you were gonna take the ball down and we'll score, or were you just kind of just letting it play out and just making the most plays you can?
Yeah, I mean, it was a battle all game. That defense was loaded with talent. I believe I want to say maybe all 11 guys ended up going on to the NFL. So I remember going into that game, I was like, I'm going to have to get the ball out quick. And ironically, I want to say that was Joe Tooney's first start. And clearly he's one of the best guards in the league now, but for his first start, he wasn't quite the player he is now. So I was like, man, I got to get the first read, and if it's not there, I might be having to throw it away. So we got to that drive, and I mean, I think I was confident that we could go down and score, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and to convert the way that we did, the battle the way we did, only makes it, that much better, and not to give them enough time left on the clock. And Quentin Payton had a huge fourth down conversion before it was the last one, or I guess the second last one. And then the one of Brian Underwood, I still have a vivid memory. When I let go of the ball, a defensive lineman's hand got up. And it was like time slowed down for me. Like I thought for sure that ball was going to get tipped and knocked down. But it must have, talk about game of inches. It must have missed his fingers by half an inch, and was able to get around it. So, played out.
And then he took the lick at. Then he took the lick at the end of the play, and I don't know that I saw that guy coming across, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. And he held onto the ball, and
I will say I remember when Coach Bible, NFL, we have the headsets where they call on the play. I remember when I got the signal. Right when I got the formation, I knew a play was about to be getting called, and I was like, this is going to score. Because the plays before, we weren't doing much. When we kind of put a guy in motion, I had a feeling they might get a little confused, and they did a switch release and caused a little confusion, and that's why he was wide open. I think the guy kind of laid him out of frustration. It was clearly a cheap shot.
It was one. He'd already caught it, but just the fact that he still held on to it afterwards is kind of like an exclamation point. That's all you got. Yeah. But so So that was a night game, and this year I don't know if you've seen, but I'm sure you have, that Carter Finley is adding some new lighting to the stadium. Talk to me about how much hype would that give you as a player to see like the red lights coming out of the tunnel, and just because I don't think fans understand, like we think it's awesome, but then the players are just like, I think that just takes it to a whole nother level. Like, have you ever been in an environment like that with the lights? Because I know that the
I have
NFL kind of
not. I
has
mean,
some
I've
of
seen it
that
on
now.
TV, and it does look pretty cool. As far as like running out onto the field, I always try to stay kind of even keel and not let my emotions get too high. But I can imagine if those lights were going after you just threw a game-winning touchdown, it would probably,
Yeah,
just increase it even, the level of,
yeah, tenfold.
yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. I've never seen it in person. I think the Panthers may do it, but not many NFL stadiums really do that kind of
I know
show.
Green Bay does it. I've seen their lights flicker a couple of
Okay, I
times, and I
haven't been
thought
there.
maybe they were
No.
having a. Yeah, I haven't seen it in person. I'm super excited about that. But so I want to share a little bit of a personal story with me. My favorite Mike Glennon game actually came against Maryland the year after the comeback. That was the first game I ever took my wife to. It was up at College Park, and that game got her hooked. So I want to thank you from that. And I know Sadie hit a 43-yarder with a couple like
Yeah.
about 45 seconds left, and they doinked one off of the upright, and she was hooked. And I'm like, yes, she's a keeper. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for winning that game, because I don't know if I would have the same relationship with NC State. I mean, I would, but now I go to all the games. I drive from Northern Virginia for 4 hours each way. But thank you for that. Are there any memories? That was like, I think that was Stephon Diggs' like first or second or third game. Like, I think it was like his first or second ACC game. And I saw him in that game, and I was like, man, that guy's going to be a problem moving forward.
Yeah, I remember because he was a highly touted, I think he was like a 5-star kid. And I remember he did have a good game. But what I really remember about that game was we got out to an early lead, and it was kind of like picking up for where we had the year before when we hosted Maryland.
Yep.
And then their quarterback got hurt, I believe, and they put in some.
Yeah, Emerson laid him out on an interception.
Yeah. And then the backup went in. It was kind of an athletic guy that just ran around. And all of a sudden, the wheels started falling off for us. And then we went down and had the 2-minute drive at the end, and Sadie kicked that field goal. And, I mean, looking back, in the NFL, you're kind of expected to hit a 45-yarder or whatever it was. But in college, we had confidence in him, because I remember right when we got into that range, it was like, okay, we're good. And he nailed it. And then they put in a true freshman quarterback that could throw, who was, I guess, really the third guy. And he marched him right down the field. And it was like, what is happening? And then miraculously, they missed like a 25-yard field goal.
Yeah, it was a chip shot. But believe me, that took off about 2 or 3 years of my life. But it gave me a wife, so we're all good there.
Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Just curious, have you been watching any of the All Access with the Pack on ACC Network?
Yeah, I've watched the first.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's been really well done. It's cool to kind of see the inside look. Really, what from a like a current, not the production side. What's really impressed me is kind of hearing Devin Leary talk. I've been around him a lot. I haven't really seen him in that environment, and hearing how vocal he is. He's very cerebral. He's very calm, and I thought he was kind of quiet. But to hear him be more vocal, I think is probably a relation to his confidence, as he heads into this 5th year. He's clearly the leader and the guy that everyone's looking to. So to hear him kind of speak up, hold himself accountable, but also hold others accountable, I think is a good sign for this upcoming season.
Yeah, you went through something like that in 2019, if I remember, with Hard Knocks. Did you have any thoughts about that from that perspective? Like
Yeah, I mean,
anything
I
that
think Hard
was.
Knocks was even more intense than this. I mean, Hard Knocks was everywhere. Like you could not avoid
Mhm.
them. There was always a camera. There was always a microphone, and not exactly. I wouldn't want to do it again. It was cool to do one time, but I wouldn't want to do it again. But I mean, I've seen the cameras around, and they're around often, and it's crazy how much they film to cut it down into a 30-minute, not even a 30-minute segment with commercials. It's probably, I don't know, 24 minutes. But I thought they've done a really good job, and I'm sure the fans have enjoyed kind of getting that inside access and look of the behind the scenes of what goes on and getting to know the players more on a personal level.
Yeah, I think Michael, you probably watched tonight's. It was, I mean, it definitely gets all the feelings. From Grant Gibson and Isaiah Moore eating ice cream to Tyler Baker Williams sharing some heartbreak with his mom passing, and it to your point, Mike, it gives us a different perspective and a different appreciation that one, these are student athletes, but they're humans too, right? Like we tend to take away the human element from players and athletes.
Yeah, I think that's important for
you
the
know,
fans to realize that at the end of the day, these guys are humans. So, it's great to cheer for them, but the negative thoughts, the negative opinions, I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are giving it their all. And I think that's all we can ask for as fans. And that they have to go home to their family and they have to go live the rest of their life. So I think that's great that it kind of shows that side so people can relate with them and kind of sympathize with them if things don't go exactly as planned.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, these are 18 to 22-year-old young men still trying to figure out their way in life. And, they deserve, unfortunately, they get the spotlight put on them, but, it's tough. And I applaud them for, the way they're handling it and the way Coach Doran, does that. And then you had Coach O'Brien with his military background. Just talk a little bit about that. And I'm a veteran myself. And so I appreciate, the way he ran his program. But if you could just talk a little bit about your time with Coach O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean, he ran a really strict ship, but you knew what you were getting every day. I mean, he never changed from the moment I was recruited to actually the first time I saw a different side of him was the day he got fired. He kind of let loose a little bit more and showed more of a personality, but from the time he was my coach, he was the exact same every day. He expected you to be accountable, and in return, he was going to do the same. So he kind of just laid it all out there. This is the way it's going to be, and you can either follow it or we'll find someone else that does. And guys respected it. I don't think anyone's saying, that he was the funniest guy. I used to remember watching College Game Day and Pete Carroll would be having Will Ferrell out of practice and doing all these crazy things. And that's just not who he was. And that's fine because we knew what we were getting every day. And I'm sure some players might not have liked it. I'm sure some fans may not have liked it. But at the end of the day, it was consistent. He didn't micromanage his coaches. He let his coaches kind of do their thing. But he was going to oversee it all. And I'm sure you having a military background could probably relate and kind of respect and appreciate the way he did things.
Absolutely.
What was for you the biggest difference or the biggest challenge in playing quarterback at the college level versus when you got to the NFL?
Well, really, I think there was a bigger jump from high school to college than college to the pros. The speed of the game from high school to college was extreme, and Greg can relate to Northern Virginia football. There's some good players, but they're not quite the Division I. There's really good high school football, but the D1 talent isn't quite as strong up there. So I remember when I got to my first camp, I'm like, wow, this is fast. Now the pros, I think it just becomes more of a business. From high school to college, it becomes a big business, and from college to the pros, it is all about production. And if you're not producing, you're not going to survive. And you kind of learn to. That's what it is. I can still remember when I got drafted to the Bucks. couple weeks in, one of the fellow rookies, he was an undrafted guy, got cut. And I was like, whoa, like what just happened? I couldn't believe it. Felt really bad for it. And it's sad to say, but by that, the further you get into it, you just grow numb to it. And it's just, another day when someone gets cut, and it's just it's a true business. And, the best time of my life playing football were probably in high school, and then college, and then the NFL, because every level becomes more in business. it kind of takes the fun and the joy of, the kid playing in the backyard out of it. But I'm grateful for it all. I've been very fortunate to play for so long.
Yeah. And the way you describe it, I think that's even a testament to you for, sticking around in the league for 8 years. I think
don't cheat him. He had 9. Don't cheat him.
9. Sorry. The average NFL career is what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I think it's about 3.5. So, yep, I've hopefully I get that lucky number 10. But if not, I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish, because not many people play as long as I have.
Definitely.
Yeah. So my this is gonna sound silly. My saddest Mike Glennon day was the day that you were no longer a Buccaneer. So I am a Buccaneer fan.
Oh,
true,
nice.
true.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
I think it's worked out just fine for you as a Bucs fan.
It's been okay. It took us 8 years to get there, right? After
the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah. So let's just talk about we joked earlier about the whole QBU thing, and looking at your statistics and your records. I mean, you're top 5 in everything, every passing category. The only quarterback category that you're not is rushing yards, which I find that hard to believe. But
really?
But of your great stats at state, what's one that really jumps out at you? Like, is it your, like, to me was okay? I'll let you share yours and I'll share mine after.
I just think, I don't know, I couldn't tell you exactly where I rank, but I think it's pretty cool that 2 years in a row I threw for over 30 touchdowns. I mean, that's basically basing. Most of those guys probably played 3, if not 4 years. So to do what I did in 2 years, and my senior year throw for, I think, over 4,000 yards, and I know both years were 31 touchdowns. But, and I think, not to take away from the current guys, but as college football has kind of evolved, the offensive systems have kind of, statistics have benefited the quarterback. And we were running an offense that was a pro-style offense that was not inflating numbers. I mean, I wasn't throwing a bunch of bubble screens, or RPOs weren't even around then. So it was true, like every yard was a yard earned by the quarterback, if you know what I mean. So, I'm sure Devin's going to probably shatter. Is he going to break them all? Is he going to break Phillips records, or is he not going to get those?
I don't think he's just because of the injury. He's been around long, but last year was his first year starting, first game of the season to last. So I don't just by a numbers game. Right. I don't think he will, but he definitely could if he stayed, a fourth year, which many of us don't expect him to.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say bummed me out is I know a couple of times I was right around the 500-yard mark for a game. I think 2 times I came like 10 yards short. So
493 to be exact.
Crack that.
Oh.
Yep. You're second on that one for 493.
Yeah.
And then you were second in touchdowns in one season at 31 until Devin broke Phillips last year, and you did 31 in both of those seasons. And I was going to say, to me, that's the one that stands out for me, was your 31 touchdowns in 2 consecutive years. And that puts you third. But you were, and then you're tied with a single game with 5, but you did that 3 times, which is the actual record for a state. And so I think to me, that's an impressive one, 5 touchdowns. And you didn't do those against scrubs, by the way. Like, you didn't do it against, like, I don't know, East, West, North, Central Arkansas. Like, you did that against ACC opponents. Yeah, Clemson. You did it against Carolina, and then the other one I believe was another ACC opponent. So, yes, that's what it was. Yep. So to me, that was the other one that stood out to me, is that you threw 5 touchdowns in 3 games, and they were all quality opponents. Well,
the only sad part of that is just because I know all 3 of them were losses.
They were. I didn't want to bring up that part of the stat, but yes,
our season would have been a little different.
Yeah. So speaking of losses, I don't know if you realized this until Devin Leary beat Clemson last year. You were the last quarterback to beat them back in
2011.
2011. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the game last year, and they were showing that as like, it wasn't just, it was Clemson hadn't lost what? A game against NC State or a game?
No, they hadn't lost unranked. That was the stat that we broke. Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. Like, and we've been close a couple of times. I know, at least 2 or 3 occasions we were like 1 score away from beating them. But that was one stat that I was just like, I can't believe that. Yeah. But we got that monkey off our back last year. Hopefully we'll break another one of their records, is wins at home. So I'm hoping that we get that one, but we'll talk about that in part 2 when we get to the season. Let's talk about your NFL career a little bit. The one thing that stands out to me about your NFL career, actually there's 2 things, but one, I never thought that you really got, and maybe you'll see this differently. I'm seeing this from a fan perspective. Obviously you were there and we're playing that. I never thought you got a good chance to get a rhythm going. Like you would play a couple of games and then you would get pulled for whatever stupid reason it was, especially with Tampa. I can definitely speak a lot to that. Why we started McCown over you, I don't know, but I mean, there's a reason why Greg Schiano's not the coach anymore. Actually, that was Lovie Smith, I think. Either way, the good people, not a fan. But what do you? Sorry, I'm getting on a little bit of a rant here. Is that something that you thought too? Like, I mean, one, the talent levels around you weren't always the best, because there was a reason why teams were drafting very highly, when you were around those teams. But just give me your thoughts on that a little bit.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, I've to take ownership. There's always room to play better. But there were times where, especially after my rookie year, I thought I played pretty well. And would have liked, the opportunity to kind of compete with Josh for that starting job. But, Lovey brought Josh in. He had a relationship with him from his time in Chicago. And unfortunately, it didn't play out that way. And, after that, they drafted Jameis. And when you have a number 1 overall pick, it's kind of inevitable that's going to happen. And similar kind of situation happened again in Chicago when they took Mitch. And clearly, I definitely could have played better in those games I did start. But,
if I could pause you there, in your worst day, you're better than Mitch Trubisky.
But all in all, do I wish my career path was a little different? Yeah, probably. But it's also been pretty cool to live in all these different portions of the country. I mean, I lived in literally pretty much every part of the country, from Florida to the Midwest and Chicago to out west in Arizona and Oakland, California, back to Florida, and then in the Northeast. So really the only area I didn't get was Texas. So it's been awesome to live in these places, to meet all these different teammates. I mean, I've played with future Hall of Famers. I've had some amazing coaches. So yeah, would I have liked to have been the franchise quarterback in Tampa for a decade? Absolutely. But, I like to think that there's some pros to kind of being the journeyman that I was.
Sure. And then the last question before we wrap up this first part with you is, you got 1 career rushing touchdown. That was last year with the Giants against the Chargers. What was that thought? Because I rewatched that replay today. I just wanted to look at it, and you almost didn't get there. Like you stopped at the goal line, and then you're like, you just snuck over. But what took you 9 years to get your first rushing touchdown?
I think it's a definitely heavily contributed to the lack of athleticism that I have. I mean, I think that would be the reason why. But yeah, I mean, I definitely always wanted to get one, but I envisioned getting one, not on like a quarterback sneak, like actually running one in and spiking the ball.
Yeah.
But in that game, we were down. I don't know what it was, 2 or 3 scores. I'm like, I can't spike this ball. I thought that guy was going to kind of, like, I didn't know if I was going to have to put a move on him or what he was going to do. And he kind of just eased up. But I was prepared to, like, embrace the hit or do something. To be honest, I'm just not used to being in that position. So my whole game was always like, if that was an open field, I would have slid. So it was I wouldn't say an uncomfortable position, just a unique and not common situation to be in, where I'm running for the end zone. There was a guy coming at me, obviously being the first one I ever had. But I am glad, whether if that's my first, it could be my last, I don't know, but at least I got one.
And did you keep the ball?
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can't keep the ball. We're down. I mean, like, that would have been hard. When you're down that much, to keep the ball, even if it was my first passing touchdown, I probably would have done. But even that is like a tough look, a little bit to go get the ball after that.
Yeah. All right, Wolfpack Nation. Well, that'll wrap it up with part 1 with Mike Glennon. Please, we'll be doing episode 2, but Mike, just go ahead and share all your socials out there so people can follow you if they're not already following you.
Yeah. I believe it's Mike_Glennon. I think that's all it is. Back on Twitter.
It's kind of like your phone number, right? You don't always remember your phone number because you don't call yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm a 703 guy. Are you a 703 guy?
No, I'm a 757, but my wife's a 703. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll put all his info in the description. So make sure you like this video, share it out so it gets to all the great Wolfpack fans out there. And then we'll be back with episode 2.